This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, Mr. Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 24th of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, let's have a look. We saw a nice little decline yesterday. We had a rally in the afternoon that's followed through a bit overnight. We've got a nice looking double top here. We've got rising wedge support, which has not yet been hit, which is now in the 58.12 area, and we've got double targets which are in the 57.97 and the 57.80 area. So I'm thinking we may well see some follow through. I've just written a post talking about that and giving those targets on SPY and the ones on Dia as well. NQ, this doesn't really. There was no topping pattern here. So we've not got no really obvious targets below. I've got a trend line target on the Qs, but I am wondering whether this is an overall bull flag forming, and it's possible that we've already made the low, although there's a strong case for seeing some more downside. On RTY, we saw the strongest decline. We also got a 60-minute buy signal at the low. That has fixed, and if we go a little higher, we'll probably make target. So it's not going to get us a great deal further than what we've done already. We could form a bottoming pattern here, maybe come up to the inverted head and shoulder neckline at about the 22.52 area. But I'm really leaning towards probably seeing some more downside. And I would note that we've got, sorry, I haven't got it marked on this chart so far, but I'm just going to mark it in now. And that this is a potential larger double top support, but it's also a key support level. As necklines tend to be support trend lines or levels. All right, so that is here. And I've got that in about the 21.80 area. What's that exactly? 2180. All right, so I'm watching that as possible baseline support on RTY if we get that. Looking at YM, very nice looking little double top, and it's a nice. I've got this could be read as a head and shoulders, and actually it's a head and shoulders on Dia. So I'm going to treat this as a head and shoulders. If this is a head and shoulders, it's got a target down in the 42.250 area, and not far below we've got a possible head and shoulder neckline there too. And the head and shoulder neckline is something I'm keeping an eye on, because in the event that this turns into a larger decline, those may well become important. And we've got that at 42.088, just above the monthly pivot at 42.023. All right, let's have a look at DAX. DAX, we had a little double top breakdown too. We've seen a strong rally. I've got alternate targets really in, just below 19,300. We had a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed at the low there that yesterday, and that has now reached the possible near miss target. Looking at ASTX, nothing really happened on ESTX. This hasn't really been following DAX much at all. Okay, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. All right, bear with me a second. Okay. All right. Okay, looking at ES, we had a RSI 5 buy sell signal here, and that's now reached the possible near miss target. I upgraded that to a full signal. Well, actually, no, that was always a full signal. But the reason I upgraded the SPX and SPY one to a full signal was because we had this. I did mention that if we didn't already have a sell signal, then another one would be forming, and it formed, so that is a full sell signal, so that got upgraded. That's reached the possible near miss target, but it hasn't reached it on SPY. It almost made it, but not quite. We held the daily middle bands at the close on SPY. We closed very, very slightly below it on Dow, but I'm treating that as a close on the band. So it is a visual close on the band. So I'm treating that as that having held. In terms of the Qs, we closed slightly below the daily middle band, and on IWM, which had seen the strongest declines, we saw a significant close below it. In fact, we basically gapped below it and traded underneath it all day. So not a lot of weakness there so far, and not from Dow and SPX, which have been leading to the upside. So watching those carefully, but if we see some more follow through downside today, we may well see breaks. But the obvious time, if we do see a breakdown below the Dia one and the SPY one, the obvious time to see a rally is the day after that break. So if we've just got limited targets below, we could do that today and then rally back over it tomorrow, and no real technical damage would be done. And really, it just likely confirms more upside. Okay, let's have a look at the short-term patterns. Right, SPY. Obviously, we've got a double top that's broken down. I've got the rising support here in about the 573 area, and I've got the alternate targets. I mentioned these on the post that I just published, but I've got this at about 570.5 and 571.5. Those are the targets below if we're going to hit them. On Dow, we've got a head and shoulders. Pretty obvious it is a head and shoulders on this one, so I'm going to treat it as that on YM as well. I've got a target down here at about the 420.5 area, I think, and we've got trend line support not far below in about the 418.3 or 4 area. On SPY, I would also note we've got that trend line support here, but we would hit it before the target. All right, Qs, really this could just be a flag. And actually, I'm just going to draw in, I don't think it's a flag channel. So, because I don't think those are parallel, I am occasionally mistaken, however. So let's see and test that, but I'm pretty sure of it. So I am not mistaken. So there's no really obvious trend line that we've hit here. So does this mean that we could go lower and get closer to that wedge support target? Yeah, it does. And I'm wondering if that might be the case. We will see. All right, let's have a look at IWM. IWM, we've seen an RSI 14 buy signal fix at the close. We had an RSI 5-1 fix intraday and already made target. I'm thinking with the rally overnight that this is going to be fairly close to target when we open today. Do we have targets below? Not because of a topping pattern, no. But we do have a possible head and shoulder neckline here, which would be it would be in the 214.6 area, and I'm looking at that as possible baseline support below. We do have a possible rising support trend line here, but it's not one I'm taking particularly seriously unless we hit it. But we could hit it, in which case I've got that down at about the 211.5 area. All right, looking at DAX. DAX, nice day down yesterday, and we tested and held the daily middle band. Nikkei was already below the daily middle band. So not really seeing anything particularly serious happening here, but we're testing the 50-day MA at the moment, and we broke the 200 yesterday, so watching that with interest. All right, let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, I was talking on the bigger picture video last night, and worth having a look at that if you want to see what the situation is in detail. But we're reaching a point where we're almost at my trendline target, and we're starting to see a lot of negative divergence on things which go up when DX goes up, and negative divergence on things that go down when DX goes up. So positive divergence on those. So I'm looking at potential daily buy signals on Euro, on GBP. I'm looking at potential sell signals on USD/JPY. No, actually not USD/JPY. That one just fell, but certainly on USD CAD. And I've got a possible sell signal brewing on DX. I'm thinking that dollar may turn, and it may actually resume the downtrend. So that would have a big impact on quite a lot of things. On ZB. ZB, we're not really seeing a lot to suggest that this is going to bottom out, but I've got some divergence here, and I am wondering about it. The week 60-minute buy signal reached the possible near miss target, so that is now done. And at the moment, there's not a lot to suggest that we're about to make a significant low. On CL, we saw a move a bit higher here. I've not drawn this in as a double bottom because really it's just a bit too low quality here. I am wondering about a reversion to the lows, but I was talking about this again in more detail on the bigger picture chart. You can get the link for that off my post today. Really, I'm liking the downside and I'm liking the triangles. There are some headwinds, though. There's the huge roll on NG, which could break the triangle there. And obviously, we've got a whole load of political risk. If Israel is apparently planning an attack on Iran, that may be on oil facilities. Iran has attacked the Saudi oil facilities and the Kuwaiti ones before through proxies. If we start seeing some damage to the energy producers in the Middle East, then all bets are off on the downside. and we could see a lot of upside on both. On NG, we're seeing a bit of a rally here. We're reaching a possible inverted head and shoulder neckline in the 3 area, which I'm watching. We've now got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing. On GC, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback on dollar going up. We could be forming a head and shoulders here and watching that with interest. We could also be forming a head and shoulders on SI and on HG. We haven't quite made the retest of this low, which would be better for a double bottom. This is looking like it might be a bear flag forming. I'm really liking the upside here, but I mean, we've expanded this wedge once already. We could expand it again. Watching to see if we did. The obvious target for that would actually be down about the 4.15 to 4.18 area. All right, let's have a look at, bear with me a moment. All right, Euro has made the targets to the downside. This trend line is not particularly significant. It's only 2 touches, but I am wondering if we might see a turn back up here. I'm wondering that on GBP USD as well. USD JPY, this is broken up with the target a long way above. No current divergence. USD CAD made the target here. And I'm wondering whether this could be a double top forming. Australian dollar, nothing really worth drawing in terms of trend lines here at the moment, but I am wondering if this, if the dollar turns, this will probably find a low here, and the same goes for NZUSD. All right, KC, I've got a pretty good case or a possible low here at this low here, because on the KC chart, which I showed on bigger picture chart yesterday, I've got this hitting a big trend line. Now, unless that's going to break, then this obviously may well hold. I've got a potential level bottom here, which would be setting up a rally into the monthly pivot area, and I'm thinking that may well deliver. SB still likely forming a bull flag, and I'm wondering if there's a little double bottom here within that bull flag. Hasn't broken up yet. CC made the target, not quite towards this area, but the minimum target is a full retracement of the previous trend, which gets it there. It's already made that target. We've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. We have possible support here. CT, not a great looking double bottom, but at the moment this is looking as though it's breaking up with a target back up in 74.5, and it's converting the monthly pivot to support. On ZW, keeping an open mind here, this could still be a bull flag. It's not a great one. Z Corn made the double bottom target and is continuing higher at the moment. Soy is reaching a couple of possible inverted head and shoulder necklines. We've got a sell signal here which hasn't really done anything so far, and the sell signal on corn failed. On lumber, looks like an overall bullish consolidation, setting up a retest of this high here in the 538 area. Live cattle, nice looking double bottom, probably going to break higher. Double top. This was a nice looking double top on LH, and that is already broken higher. This is kind of started front running live cattle, so I'm leaning towards seeing the same as that on live cattle as well. All right, let's have a quick look at questions. Right, yeah, my pleasure, Doug. I'm probably going to add back in SPX and do both SPX and SPY, because actually it's not too much work, because it's the main index anyway. But I haven't had any negative comments about that. I think it's probably going to work better for most people. I've had a request to put SPX back. I've got no problem with doing that, so I'm going to probably add that back in next week. All right, great. Looking at this, we have got targets below which we haven't hit yet. It could be we're not going to make those, and we just reject back up to the highs here. But there's a pretty credible case for seeing at least some more downside, and we do have some trendline targets below which haven't been hit and may well be. We'll see how it goes today. In the very short term, I'm thinking that we'll probably rally a little more. The 60-minute buy signal hasn't made target, and I'm watching to see where the 15-minute IWM RSI 14 buy signal goes at the open today. So we've got a couple of buy signals that haven't made the possible near miss targets yet, and I'm thinking leaning towards seeing a bit more upside. But after that, I'm thinking we may well see a follow through day, and ideally what we would do is we would break down and close down below the daily middle bands on SPY and Dia today, and then reject back above them tomorrow. Am I seeing much of a case for a larger decline? It's possible. And if we are going to see that, then I'm going to be watching various things like this possible double top support on RTY. I've got a possible head and shoulder neckline on ES at 5726. I mentioned yesterday. I've got a possible head and shoulder neckline here on Dow, just above the monthly pivot. There are potential to form larger patterns, but if we are going to go lower, I'd be expecting to form larger patterns, and we'd really need to see at least some weakness on NDX, because we've really not seen a lot so far. At the moment, this still looks like a bull flag. We shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap, guys. I'll have everything posted as soon as possible. I'll catch you guys later.